Okay guys, so this is the walkthrough for one of the versions you may encounter of Storm in Pauper. There's 3 or 4 different versions depending who you ask. There's this one which is a mono red featuring Kiln Fiend. There's the one with the older sack clans that will win based on one version is focused more on Grape Shot, the other brings in Empty the Warrens and may still run Grape Shot. And the third/fourth one, is the Esper colored Temporal Fissure bounce storm, which you will see as well. So this is game one. It was a pretty decent opening hand. I'm hoping to draw a untapped land for my first draw, and I'm going to use Terramorphic to pop Terramorphic to use a Plains for the Lone Missionary. But you'll see this is not really going to matter. I draw a Rift Watcher and play Terramorphic, figuring that I will grab a black for Empty the Warrens. You know when they come down with the Sandstone Needle that it is going to be Storm. So I'm hoping that when Empty the Warrens comes up, I'm going to have Nausea open and ready, and that he doesn't have the haste creature for the win, which you will run into occasionally, but let's just hit play here and, well, you can see what happens. So I'm thinking Kiln Fiend, not a big deal, it's getting pumped, but has no haste. I was sadly mistaken. As he goes through, they got the Probe is a great thing now because they can just pay 2 life to use it. Pump, then you get it haste with the Crimson Wisps, throws down the Gomlin, and hits me on turn 2 for the win. Okay, so in between games, I'm looking at my sideboard options, and there's not a whole lot of good stuff. Though I feel like can get some advantage. I bring in, of course, 2 Prismatic Strands. I bring in the 2 Hydroblasts. And then I took out stuff like let's see this here. I took out some of the slower spells, the Serrated Arrows. I figured by the time those are useful, it's not going to make a big deal. I also took out Diabolic Edict. I felt that it's not so good in this matchup because if they get the Storm off, it's GG. The Kiln Fiend you can kill more direct with the Echoing Decay spells. And I also brought in 2 Dispels. Now that I've played this game, I think it was a mistake. If anything, I should have brought in the Negates instead, because a lot of the spells are sorcery speed and not instant speed that he uses to ramp up. So let's take a look and see how that game went. It was a pretty strong starting hand. I had a Prismatic Strands, so I think I'm pretty good. I also have the opening for a turn 2 Missionary. Of course, I'll start with the Wilds to thin my deck out, and hoping that even if he can go off on turn 2, that the addition of Missionary will slow him down. If you look at the last game, if I had gotten that Missionary out on turn 2, it still would have been... Well, no, I take that back. It would have left me at like 2 life, but God only knows how long that would have lasted. You pull out a couple Lava Darts, and that would have been game anyways. So I think at this point he's just trying to draw in the combo pieces. I get the Missionary out, and think we're pretty good. The next thing you'll notice is, after the fact that he can't go off on turn 1, he drops the Bushwhacker as a chump blocker. And I'm a little nervous, so I left all 3 lands open so I could cast the Prismatic Strands. At this point, he's cast Probe twice. He knows I have it. He knows there's blanks for life gain. So he's going to be a little cautious about when he actually, quote-unquote, goes off. And I'm going to keep the mana open for Prismatic Strands the entire time. I know the one turn that I don't, he's going to get the Storm off, and then it's going to be game over. It's not as critical in this one because he's focused on Empty the Warrens instead, so you can actually hold the Strands, tap out until he actually gets the Warrens in hopes that he doesn't have the Bushwhacker. That's a bit of a gamble though. At this point I attacked with the Missionary, and it may be questionable. I wanted to get rid of the Bushwhacker just in case he got something out that was worth it. You know, maybe tempt him and see how far he was willing to go. This turn he brings out the Kiln Fiend, and I figure that I have to get rid of it with the Echoing Decay. Could have been a problem. Maybe I should have left it in retrospect for when he actually cast Empty the Warrens. but I'm figuring sitting on 4 that it would not be such a big deal. That I could use the decay there and would have a good chance of drawing into it. Again, there I figure he was going off, but somehow doesn't. But he's played a lot of card draw. You know he's getting close, and any minute now I can expect it. But he plays a Sledder, and this is going to be trouble, because what he can do here is avoid my Echoing Decays. He can start sacking off creatures that I've targeted. If I chump block with any of my creatures, he can sack them to get the damage through anyways, so that's kind of going to be a problem. Any kill spell I do get is going to have to be directed to the Sledders to get it off the field. I was a little surprised at this point. I'm thinking I have a good chance of winning this. Like I said, I have the kill spells available, even if I did not draw them. I'm thinning land out of my deck. I've got above 20 life still, and a Prismatic Strands in hand. My opponent starts pumping the Fiend, but not enough for the kill. I throw down a Rift Watcher, and I'm happy I'm holding both blinks, so I can gain quite a bit of life off that one. As you can see, though, the Dispel may not have been such a good choice. Throws a Lava Dart down, not really a big deal. I figured with the Dispel, I had the opportunity to counter some of the pieces that would allow him to draw during the storm, and it just doesn't work out that way. He's played quite a few earlier on, so he's already pretty much built up his land base. Not to mention that Probe is a sorcery, as you can see here. I top deck the Hydroblast, I kill off the Killing Fiend, and again, thinking I'm sitting pretty good with the hand I've got set up here. I've got the blinks, I got the Rift Watcher, and I got the Prismatic Strands. But as you can see here, he storms off Empty the Warrens, and I'm in crisis mode pretty much. I have Strands, I can use it twice thanks to the Rift Watcher. But what I really need to do is top deck Nausea or even Echoing Decay. Echoing Decay is not so great because, like I said, I can target any of these goblins in hopes of killing them off. But with the Sledder in play, he's just going to be able to sack off a goblin and cancel the spell from hitting, which leaves the others to survive. Also, like I said, I can't block with my Rift Watcher to kill off goblins, despite, blinking and saving and whatnot. I really need to get the Nausea's the top deck that I need. I guess I could have brought in the Crypt Rats as well in place of the useless Dispels. That would have been a much better choice. If you do encounter this, make sure you bring in the Crypt Rat. Any opportunity you have to get all these guys killed, he's not going to be able to really do much. He does have the Lava Dart, but you really want as many board wipe opportunities as possible in this matchup. It's a little different when you play the Storm with the Grape Shot, but when you have Empty the Warrens, you need these mass kills. It's really important. Here I do cast Strands to prevent the damage, and will blink my Rift Watcher on my next turn in response to it about to die. And I still sit on Dispel. Useless Dispel. I'm just not happy about that if you can't tell. I draw the Missionary and I go up more life. I'm sitting at 26, so I know I can take some life, I can sacrifice some creatures to the attack, and just whittle down the numbers. And I'm sitting here, I'm facing down 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 21 goblins right now. So I could let them all through. I would still be alive. I can chump block 2 of them right now, and it saves me some life. And I'm hoping to just thin the numbers enough that I can delay for the mass kill. If you do manage to get the Nausea off or the Echoing Decay, at this point in time he's at 29, he's got no hand, and odds are you're going to be able to win this matchup. I mean, look, he's already at 10 life. It's very winnable if you can just get that top deck into a kill. Again, you do have to watch for the Sledders because that means your Nausea and your Crypt Rat are going to be the only answer. I top a Fume Spitter, so that allows me to kill it. And a Teachings would be great, something to get that that Echoing Decay into my hand, just to survive. That's your whole plan. Is you want to survive. You can take some damage, and you really just hope and pray that you get a board wipe. My opponent attacks. He gets very weird about clicking on his goblins. He misses them a lot, but he attacks, and I blink so that I can flashback the prevention shield. And then another goblin slider comes down, and at this point I think it's pretty much game. Because I have to get nausea, and that's sitting here 2 of 36. So my odds are not good. Even if I top decked a Mystical Teachings, I cannot find nausea because it is a sorcery, and the Teachings only fetches out will only fetch out the instance. So I guess I could at this point top deck Echoing Decay to kill the Goblin Slider or Fume Spitter. But my very next card would have to be Echoing Decay or Nausea, so the odds are just not very good at all. I did get the Snuff out, I kill him, and still looking for Echoing Decay on my next turn. I realize I can blink the Rift Watcher and survive this attack, and hope for the top deck. But what comes down is the Bushwhacker. So now it doesn't matter. I have enough to prevent the damage on the field, but when you double it, I just cannot do it. It's just one of those things. Like I said, in the Storm matchup, you're probably going to lose Game 1. Game 2, you're sitting pretty good for the most part. You bring in the Strands, you bring in the Crypt Rat, and you have a decent chance. You bring in the Hydroblast. You can survive this, but you have to count wisely, plan wisely, gain as much life as possible, and like I said, hope to God that you are able to top deck into a Nausea or Echoing Decay without the Slider.